item number 8, which we're bringing forward on the agenda, which is the Universal Studios update. And I thank Sam very much for staying online to be able to update us. Noting that we know and we understand that there will be things that you can't tell us at the moment, but we'd appreciate knowing as much as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Very happy to provide as much information as I can. I'll just start with a brief reminder of the approach to the application, and I'll explain some of the acronyms because it's a bit confusing to some people if planners go off and start talking techno-babble planning speak. So DCMS, Department of Culture, Media and Sport, are the project sponsor within government. So they're overseeing this as a government project. MHCLG are the Ministry for Housing, Communities and Local Government, and they're the government department whose planning response unit will deal with the planning application. That planning application will be in the form of what's known as an SDO, a supplementary, a special development order, and when the planning response unit in MHCLG have kind of dealt with the application, they will write up a report that will go to the Secretary of State in MHCLG, and the Secretary of State will sign off that planning decision before it's laid in Parliament as a statutory instrument. That's very different to what we're used to as either us being the local planning authority or a planning inspector dealing with an application of an application this size and scale, which is normally done through what's called a DCO, a Development Consent Order. So we have a two-stage approach to the scheme. The first is the investment decision. So the financial package, for instance, who pays for infrastructure like road improvements, rail improvements, that needs to be agreed between HM government, and that's led by DCMS and informed by the Treasury, and Universal. And they're now in that process, that formal process, which started a few weeks ago. The second approach, or the second stage to it, is once that negotiation has taken place around the investment decision and they've reached an agreement in principle, then the planning decision will be taken forward. So the SDO would be determined by MHCLG, as I say. We as a council will be a statutory consultee. And we've now confirmed that our formal response to the consultation will be signed off by the executive. So it won't actually come to planning committee, but it'll be an executive decision. There will be a 30-day consultation period. And I think it's fair to say, and John will probably smile at me saying this, but an SDO is turning out to be a learning experience for everybody involved in it. Both Universal, who hadn't really come across it before, the government department who are dealing with it because there's never been one used on a private sector development and a development on this scale and complexity as well, and us learning the ropes, as it were, for something that's being trialled to see whether it works for this kind of scheme as well. So that's just a brief kind of update of where we are with the approach, and just trying to explain that in as clear language as I can. In terms of an update on the scheme itself, so Universal have continued to undertake further stakeholder engagement prior to the submission of their SDO application. That's been following on from the all-member briefing which took place on the 4th of September, which I'm very pleased to say was very well attended. They're holding a further series of meetings with stakeholder groups on Tuesday, the 1st of October next week. And that's pretty much the last of the days that they'll be doing that. They've been doing it every fortnight at the moment for a number of weeks. They forwarded their draft documentation for the SDO submission to our project team and to DCMS and to MHCLG for final comments before they finalise that submission over the next few weeks. We hadn't previously seen that, and it's something that the project team have been working through over the last fortnight. And I'm pleased to say there's no major red flags for us that we've seen from a technical point of view that would make us think, oh, actually, the council can't support this, or we don't recommend that the council supports this. So on balance, for such a a complex application, we're pretty impressed with the way in which they and their consultant team have gone about it. There's still a load of comments that we've got on technical detail, but I'm pleased to say that that they seem to be on the right track. There has been a slight delay in the submission of the SDO. That was due to be coming in to MHCLG in mid to late October. It's now likely to be November, probably early to mid-November. And again, we just need to watch this space as to what that means for us. But we're very much trying to track what that 30-day consultation period looks like, when it falls with our executive meetings, and when we'll be able to get hold of that and look through the final detail. So it's quite a tight period of time, and we're well organised as a project team to handle that. But it has been delayed. Information regarding the scheme is on Universal's microsite on the web for anybody who's interested. It's quite a good source of seeing some of their projections of what the scheme will look like. I think it's also fair to say that since Universal and government went into the negotiations on the package a couple of weeks ago, we've now entered a period of quiet from Universal in the public domain. So we're not expecting them to be saying anything. We're not expecting government to be saying anything publicly. And indeed, the line that we're being told from our regular contact with central government departments is, we don't really want to be saying anything that might look like we're in or trying to influence the decision. So we have entered that period of quiet. I think also in terms of next steps, Universal are continuing to finalise those technical documents. I spent a couple of hours with them going through those documents this afternoon. So I personally welcome the slight pause and slight delay in them getting those documents together, because there's still quite a bit of fine tuning for them to be done to do on that. And we simply await the outcome of the government and Universal negotiations on that financial package. And when that's been concluded, the SDO will be submitted. There was talk, because there's an international investment summit taking place on the 14th of October. I think people were putting two and two together and making a number there. There was talk that there was hope that the investment decision would be announced at that conference. My gut feeling is that it's very, very early days in their negotiations, and there's no real likelihood of that taking place on the 14th of October. So if you had heard that, don't be disappointed if nothing is announced at that summit. And really, just finally, a kind of polite reminder from me that we're still subject to a non-disclosure agreement. I know many of you, most of you, have signed that. So it's a plea, really. Don't divulge what I've said today, as we're a trusted partner of Universal. They're placing a lot of stock on that, which is one reason why we were given advanced sight of their final draft documents. And we've worked really hard over the last couple of years not to jeopardise that relationship. So if I can just, I know you won't go off and say anything to the press, but if I can just reiterate that without fear of causing offence, that would be greatly appreciated. So I'm very happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor McHugh.
Yeah, I have a question. I think you said that the consultation will come to the council for 30 days, and you said that that will be signed off by the executive. I can't imagine why something of such import to the borough, not to mention the wider Bedfordshire and whatever area, Semlec type area, surely it should come to full council, even if it means a special meeting of full council. It's very important to show the level of support, or otherwise, of the whole council for this project, and that all members can have their say.
That's a point very well made. It's a point that's been debated and discussed with the mayor and with the chief executive, and that was the conclusion that was drawn. What I suggest you do is that you, through your group leaders, put any representations on that basis as to whether it should come to full council. If you put those forward as soon as possible, then that can be aired. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I think there might be some representations regarding that. Any more questions? Any comments? can I just then thank Sam very much for hanging on and being able to give your update. And yeah, it's just before 2:45, so hopefully that is well timed.
That's very kind. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks.
Thank you.